The story on the repairs on this Passat got weirder and weirder, and the end result was a serious scam, like a serious fisting, really bad. Let's get started. I really hate it when this happens to a customer, when they receive bad news that's outside of our control, outside of their control. It's something happened before they even owned the car themselves. No one could have done anything about it. This customer came in with an issue of a check engine light, and also they think they smelled coolant, like a coolant smell coming from the vehicle. They thought it might be a leak. It seemed like that was going to be the only two issues to get it fixed, get this car out. But the more that we dived in, the worse it got. The check engine light was just a code for EGR cooler performance, meaning it's wanting to see some cooling down happening with the EGR temperature sensor, the EGR cooler temperature sensor, I should say, and it's not happening. It's not cooling down, and it knows it, it sees it. The steps involved that we found out what's wrong just leads it down a big rabbit hole of very expensive. But before we dive into what we found, let's take a look around this thing and see what condition it's in. Here's the front of this 2013 Volkswagen Passat TDI. Yes, it is a diesel. As we go around, you'll see it's actually in very good shape. The body looks really nice. The wheels look really nice. It's a good looking car. Down this side, equally nice. And there's really not much to speak of with the body other than it looks great. Let's let Mrs. Wizard show you guys around the interior, then it's time to open the hood.
Wow, this thing is 85,736 miles. And yes, I don't have the door fully closed. Oh no, so at least that sensor is working correctly. Look at the gauge cluster. I like how we have embedded circles within the major gauges. That's kind of nice. The dash is in really nice condition. I'm not so sure what kind of a holder that holds, but you know, looks like maybe a small cell phone. Got some lovely little hair clips and whatnot hanging from our rear view mirror, but everything is in good condition. Do have a crack in the windshield. I'm not sure if you can see it on camera totally, but a bit of a crack. But again, that doesn't change our performance, doesn't change the way the car drives. I will move our pumpkin, I guess, out of the way. We have a really nice infotainment system with easy to control HVAC controls as well. As we move down, you see we have a very easy to use gear selector and a cup holder, armrest, nothing crazy, and plastic pieces. Yes, these are out for a reason, and Wizard's going to be explaining that in just a moment. But if we look at those seats, they're in good condition. I don't see any rips or tears or anything like that. We have a nice headrest that's adjustable. And in our door card, we have gray, and gray, and a little bit more gray with a nice silver accent to go with our silver car. Back seat's in great condition. Got room for 3 people back there with a nice, very large armrest in the center. Headliner, good condition, nothing going on. Got a lovely moonroof with a shade that can be extended as well. And lots of little controls and whatnot for all sorts of things. So, back on our steering wheel, very classic design. Got our lovely Volkswagen symbol in our center there with easy controls for our radio and, infotainment system and cruise control and every other control we have at our fingertips. So, enough of this interior talk. I'm really wondering why I'm sitting next to all that stuff.
So Junior Mint's actually been working on this one, and he actually has been knocking it out of the park. I just mentioned that we saw code for EGR cooler performance, seeing that it's not seeing the right temperatures it'd like to see. And he noticed something. He went on a road test, and he was checking some things out. And he noticed even when the engine temperature got to 190, 195 like it's supposed to, sometimes it would get a little bit above that, and he was like, something's odd here. He turned on the heater, no heat, just cold. So I thought, well, maybe there's an air bubble in there, or just recently somebody else, some other shop put a timing belt on it or something. So we tried to pull air out of the system. That didn't work. It still just blows cold no matter how hot it gets. And Junior Mint's working. He's got his hands and he's touching. He's like, the engine's at operating temperature, but this radiator is cold as well. So we called the customer, like, what's going on here? Did somebody do something wrong with the water pump with the timing belt and all that? And he's like, no, I don't think so. It's like, what's going on? So I did some research and found out these have an issue where the EGR cooler, which is in a loop with the heater hoses, it goes to the heater core, then from the heater core it goes to the EGR cooler, then from the cooler back to the radiator. And what can happen is the heater core plugs and blocks the flow to the EGR cooler. So that's the path we went. We're like, okay, that makes sense. That's why we're getting the code. So we pulled out the heater core thinking we would replace it and fix it. And let me show you, it gets way worse from there. It's just like, it went downhill from there. Junior removed the heater core, which luckily on this vehicle is not a dash out job. It's not some $2,000 or $3,000 huge job. It's actually in the driver's footwell by the gas pedal. So this explains why all the panels were apart. If you remove some of the center console panels, you can actually get up by the gas pedal area, or the accelerator pedal I should call it. And Mrs. Wizard will show you guys right there you can get to the heater core. It's very easy. So you can see there's a cavity there, which you undo the hoses. Obviously you drain the cooling system. Once you get everything out of the way, the heater core just slides out. Very, very simple to do. Why can't all car manufacturers do that? Especially on Dodge Rams and Chevy trucks. Why are we still pulling dashes out and charging customers thousands when we could do that? Why? I guess they don't care. They don't care about you. They don't care about me. They only care about the bottom line, their profits. This is so good. And I was happy. I was like, all right, we got the new heater core, Junior Man. Go ahead and pull it out. Get the new one in. We'll flush the cooling system and we'll be done. But he pulled out the heater core. Let me show you the inside of it. So here's the old one. Junior Man actually drained the heater core into a bucket, the remnants of the coolant that were in it. Let me show you what it looks like inside the pipes. See that brown, nasty gunk? It's like mud. Okay, so you gearheads out there, your professional mechanics, how many of you know when you smell the smell of radiator stop leak called Bars leak? You know when you smell that smell, this is stop leak. There is no other smell on earth like it. It's like someone was chewing tobacco and spit it and rubbed it on your face. It's bad. It's a very unique smell, only that brand. And I'm not knocking the brand. It works. It does the job. But it smells exactly like Bars leak radiator stop leak. After he dumped it in the bucket, we could see that the gunk, this is not the gunk coming from the EGR cooler. This is something different altogether. I knew right away the story just took a nosedive. This is getting even worse. After I saw what came out of this heater core, it obviously made sense why this heater core wasn't putting out any heat. It's literally plugged with all this crap. So what Bars leak or any kind of stop leak does, any kind of tiny pinholes in a heater core or radiator, it'll go through and actually plug the leak. And if you use it sparingly, it can actually get you by for a while. It actually can work on an older car. I would never put it in a 2013 TDI Passat. It's really dumb. But why is it in here? I just like, why? There's more to the story here. We started out with a check engine light and a possible small coolant leak. How the hell did we get here? How? So I had Crazy D in the office call the customer again. He called them up and said, we got all this Bars stop leak and stuff thing all through the system. What's going on here? And the customer was like, well, when we bought it, the dealer that sold it to us said it did have a heater core leak, but they fixed it. And then the story starts coming together. This happens so much in the shop, guys. A car comes in with just a small leak. You have to be a detective. You have to start putting pieces together, and then now we know what's going on here. As easy as this is to do, the dealer didn't replace the heater core. They put probably 2 or 3 bottles of stop leak in it and said, it's good, get it out the door. Salesman, get that sold. I want that car off my lot. I don't care. Get it out of here. And they got scammed, and now it gets worse. Let's jump under the hood. So here we are with our 2-liter TDI, which I like TDIs, I like diesels. But once I saw what was in that heater core, I knew. I bet this whole freaking cooling system is effed. I bet the whole thing is just sludged. It does have 2 radiators. Right now we're looking at the first one. This is actually the intercooler. And it wasn't too plugged. It didn't have any issues going on there. So I think we're safe there. We're going to flush it. We're going to clean it out. But after we open up one of the main hoses on the bottom, after Junior Man removed the lower hose, which I told him to do on the main radiator, we got a borescope camera in there. And that explains why we were feeling no heat also from the radiator at operating temperature on this engine. Entire sections of the tubes of the radiator were completely plugged. Let's take a look at that. All right, Mrs. Wizard, they always love it when I pull out my Techlong.
Wizard, this is a family channel.
Well, it says Techlong on it. I didn't name it. Anyways, we're going to look down in the radiator cores. If you're not careful, you could damage some of the little tubes in there, so be careful if you do something like this. Let me get this set up and I'll show you guys what we found. First of all, there's tons of brown gunk all in here. It's just brown slime all in here. All these cores are just clogged up with slime and sludge. So the bars leak is working. It's blocking things up. It's blocking things that shouldn't be blocked. And that's what happens when you're supposed to put half a bottle in, but instead you put 6 bottles in or 4 bottles in or whatever. Oh, we got to get this leak stopped. Put 3 more bottles in. That's a terrible way to do business. These people didn't pay for that. They didn't bargain for that. But they got stuck with that. It's very, very unfortunate. This entire cooling system is compromised. We're going to have to flush all the other parts and pieces. Hopefully we can flush the EGR cooler and get good flow through it. Hopefully we don't have to replace that. I don't think we will. We're going to put a new radiator in because I don't need whatever's in here. Even if we flush it, there still could leave debris in there enough to fall out and plug something else. So it's getting a brand new radiator, heater core, flush everything out, and then put everything together with fresh antifreeze. So if you have an old car that's on its last leg, kind of like Hoovie's TT back there, you've got a pinhole in the radiator, you just need to get by for the rest of the year and you can use your income tax money and go buy another car. That's a perfect use for bars leak. That's what it's meant for. This is a nice vehicle. It deserved a new heater core, not clogging the whole thing up by being lazy and dumping stop leak in it. That's terrible. I feel really bad for these customers. It was supposed to be a $300 or $400 bill and we'd be out the door and be done. It's going to surpass $1,000. It could go even higher. I'm not sure yet what we're going to find. We might try to flush the EGR cooler and we can't get it to flush. We're just going to have to see where we're at. The customer said they want to get it fixed. They want it fixed right. We're just taking it a step at a time and see what we find. I'm really, really sad for them. I'm going to work them a deal, cut them some deals on it because they really got scammed really hard. This dealer used the bars leak. I know it's bars leak. We know the smell. Plugged up the system, handed them the keys, took their money and said, get off my lot. It's your car now, it's your problem. There are warranties out there that dealers have when you buy a car. It's usually only 10% or 20%. Some states have different laws. In Kansas, you can put a 10% warranty on it. If this turns out to be a $2,000 or $3,000 job, they'll pay $300 and stick you with the rest. So really, there's not much they can do about it. I suppose they could take the dealer to court, but after you pay court fees and attorney fees and all that stuff, you really didn't win anything. We're going to get this fixed for them. It's going to leave this shop right. But it's just, I've been through this a few times with vehicles where you start to put your toes in the water, and by the time you're fully submersed, you're like, how did we get here? What the heck? This is crazy. And because the dealer didn't want to pay the $300, $400, whatever, $500 to get the heater core replaced, they just put the $20 stop leak in, and here we are. This is happening a lot. Pre-purchase inspections. You really need to do that. There is a ton of these types of scams going on out there all over the world. Not just in America. It's all over the world. I've been hearing stories through emails, people in Germany or in Europe. Yes, I got scammed last week. It's everywhere. An inspection on this car could have been done by the buyer. You didn't even have to hire a mechanic. You could just take it out on the road. Does the AC work? Probably on this. Does the heater work? No, it wouldn't have. And you'd figure out, well, why? And they mentioned when we called them on the phone, ever since we bought the car, it has never had good heat. This has been an ongoing problem. We just figured it's a diesel, they don't put out much heat. Yes, they do put out good heat to keep the passengers warm. There should have been some questions asked there. So I definitely wanted to show this scenario to you guys out there to help you guys learn. That's why we do these videos, for all of you out there. Pay attention to what you're looking at when you buy a car. Get a pre-purchase inspection, because the scams just keep coming over and over. I told you in previous videos there'll be more coming, more scams. Sure enough, another one came through. If you're curious what kind of tools we're going to use to fix this Passat or any other cars in the shop, check our Amazon affiliates link in the description below. If you purchase anything, we get a small cut and we really appreciate it. And make sure to hit the subscribe button here, because we have tons of more cars in the shop, which means more videos for you guys. Thanks for watching.